You have so many more surveillance cameras, especially in a place like Copley Square, would be the equivalent in New York of Times Square.
More
So.
More.
Okay, all right, so we have more than we've ever had. The interesting thing to me is they did use these bomb-sniffing dogs, which might shorten that timeline in terms of where they have to look.
Right, like this was put in right before the bomb actually went off. You would hope one of those cameras would have picked it up. I mean, you've got actually 3 sets of cameras you're talking about here. You've got the government cameras, the ones that are up there all the time. You've got the television networks that were covering the marathon, one doing total complete coverage.
Right at the finish line.
And then you have all the people with their camcorders taking pictures of their father, their uncle, their brother, their son. That's what they're calling for tonight. They're asking for those people to bring those things in. I actually remember solving a couple of cases that way when I was back in the U.S. Attorney's Office. All of a sudden somebody had a picture of something and wow, it proved the case.
What do we make? WHDH also, I believe this is the second bombing that went off. We'll put up on the screen right next to where that mailbox is. If you look really, really closely here, they suspect that that may very well be the second bomb. Now, if that's the case, and again, as you're pointing out, that would be another lead.
Absolutely.
Now we just, would law enforcement, and I would not blame them at all if they didn't tell us, would they be less inclined to let the American people know whether or not they have an image of who this is, or would they?
Yeah, no, they might. They might. I mean, look, if suppose I say, I've got an image of the guy who did it. What happens to the guy? He takes off like crazy, right? So, I mean, there could be a reason to keep this information confidential if you think you're going to spook the guy who did it, and then all of a sudden he's just going to take off. So they have to be allowed to mislead, even though from the point of view of the press and the point of view of the public's right to know, you'd say, well, we should know all the facts. But they're looking for murderers here. Yeah. So misleading is a very acceptable part of law enforcement.
There's been a ton of irresponsible, and I'm not going to get into this deep tonight, speculation on the part of the left. I mean, people like Barney Frank, Steny Hoyer.
You know, they're hoping it's anti-tax and it's tax day.
It's just irresponsible.
I mean, look, none of us know what's behind this. Is this ideological? If it's ideological, is it Islamic terrorist? Is it some other kind of ideology? Is it some crazy person? We're going to find that out. If you go by the odds, I mean, how often have these things been done? Then, of course, you're going to lean in the direction of it's somehow Islamic-related, jihadist-related, just given the percentages of the number of bombings that have taken place, one group, another group, another group. But, hey, it doesn't prove anything.
Homegrown. In other words,
my hunch? Yeah. This is homegrown.
Explain what that means. When you say homegrown,
so I don't think this is orchestrated by Al-Qaeda or any of their offshoots in Africa or other places from there. I think, frankly, if it was, we would have picked it up because it would have to have been communicated internationally, and the coverage now is immense. Sounds to me like this was more homegrown, like Major Hassan, like the attack in Britain in '05. I was in Britain, half block away from the Liverpool station when that went off. Those were homegrown people, which is why they eluded the British intelligence service, which is the best in the world, because they were looking at people that came from overseas. They weren't looking at their own citizens. Yeah. So this is my hunch. I could be absolutely wrong, but if I were investigating this, that's the hunch I'd be working on.
All right.